listening to Into the Arena, a Hunger Games podcast sparking the fandom one episode at a time, with your hosts, Holly and Emily. Special thanks for music by Sam Cushion.
Hi, I'm Holly.
And I'm Emily.
And welcome to our premiere episode of Into the Arena. We're two really big Hunger Games fans who met through a different fandom, but we wanted to have the Hunger Games fandom come back to life because we've been big tributes, I guess you could call us, since back when the fandom first started.
I mean, I'm just like super excited that I finally get to talk about the Hunger Games again with someone. It's been like 5 years since the last Mockingjay Part 2 movie happened. So, I mean, of course we got Ballad this year, which was awesome. Maybe differing opinions on that, but I'm just super excited to have met Holly and be talking about the Hunger Games.
Yeah, so we have really different experiences with the fandom itself, but Emily and I actually met through the Twilight fandom this year. We went to this virtual event. So every year they do like Forever Twilight in Forks. And this year, because of COVID, everything was online. And I'd never been to like a physical festival personally.
Yeah,
I was planning on going. Yeah, this year I think I was planning on going. I don't know if you were, because we both read the books a really long time ago too. But it came down to us just going to the virtual event, which is really fun. And the last night, we all got to like do a Zoom together. That's like when Emily and I met each other.
We all went around and like talked about ourselves, and Holly mentioned like talking about kind of like her fandom life, that she was really big into Hunger Games, and I was just like, wait, what? Like, I need to be best friends with this girl right now. So I think I reached out to you and I was like, yes, like, let's be friends.
Literally, you like chatted me in the Zoom and it made my night. You're like, I love the Hunger Games too. Oh my goodness. Then I got a friend request from you on Facebook and I was like,
I was aggressive. I meant it.
And so, yeah, we've been like chatting. I just finished college though. So I've been like busy last semester, but we've had like a little group who like chats together, which I didn't like end up really chatting with you guys until December.
I thought you didn't like us.
No. No. I was really busy. I was actually writing my senior paper about the Hunger Games and Twilight. So
oh my gosh,
so
that's
much
awesome.
Of a nerd. But yeah, so then for Christmas I got this beautiful microphone. Then I reached out to Emily after talking to you like probably twice before, like face to face over the like
crazy
Zoom or something. And I was like, do you want to do a Hunger Games podcast? Because we need to wake this fandom up right now.
Little did she know. Literally on Twitter, like a few weeks before, like I was ranting about how it seems like the Hunger Games fandom is kind of fizzled out and not really there, even though like the last movie only came out like 5 years ago and we had a new book come out like this year. But nobody's really talking about the Hunger Games anymore. And I was like, where are our priorities? Please, someone start a podcast with me.
Yeah. And like with the Twilight Renaissance this year and Midnight Sun coming out, the fandom like woke up. Like it was awake and it was alive. And everyone from 2012 who was either scared to talk about it, didn't talk about it, came alive. And nobody did that with the Hunger Games. Like that was upsetting for me, was seeing that a new book is coming out and just like no reception. Like I read Ballad and no one to talk to about it besides like my friends who don't really like love it as much as I do. But yeah.
Well, and then like even for Hunger Games fans, like it's been kind of a not controversial like in a, I feel like negative way, but just like whether people really enjoyed it or not, even if you're a big Hunger Games fan. So I feel like it's hard to find Hunger Games fans who still want to talk about Hunger Games, but then also who like liked Ballad or like were interested in that enough to then also want to talk about that. So
yeah,
just super glad that we're doing this.
I know, I'm so excited. So that was like getting to know how we got to know each other. So then
maybe we should like talk a little bit about how like we first encountered the Hunger Games books.
Yeah, because we've like talking to you, we both have very different relationships. Like when we were originally in the fandom, like what was it, 5 to 7 years ago.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess you can go ahead and talk about your side of it. They're two very different sides.
Okay, so I mean, I read Hunger Games in, I want to say, January of 2010. So that was over 2 years before like the first movie came out. I just checked it out like from the library one day, and it's actually it was terrible because I started reading it, and then I was just like all day, at any second that like a teacher wasn't really like talking or there was a passing period in between classes, I was like reading that book. I like got hooked on it immediately. That day went and got Catching Fire, read that. At that point, Mockingjay wasn't out yet. It wasn't coming out till August of that year, so I had to wait for it, which was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like I really wasn't involved in like fandom, like talking about the books with other people really, except for my sister. I have a younger sister, and so I always like force her into being interested in like the things that I'm interested in. I mean, not so much anymore, but definitely when we were like growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like not a reader. So I was like, okay, well, like let me just read the books to you. So like,
We're just
I mean,
way
for
too
a while,
alike.
for a while it was just like me and my sister and like me talking about it all the time, and like I would like read her like a chapter like every night. So like that's how I read like the books twice through. I read them once myself, and then I read them once through to my sister, and we were just into it together. That's kind of just like how I got started and got into it.
Did you become like a pretty big fan after you read them to her, or?
I think like there's a casual enjoyment
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
there of the series now, but like I made her do like a lot of things like cosplay with me, and
Mm-hmm.
going to the midnight movies and stuff. But I mean, she enjoyed it. She had fun, but she's
Yeah.
definitely not as big a fan as me.
See, that's where our paths cross because I read the books back in, I got the date wrong when I first talked to you. I think. I don't know. I'm really like, I was 12 at the time. So it would have been like July of 2011, I think. Um, so I was really young at the time. I remember I was in like fifth or sixth grade, like taking that cross to go to sixth grade. So I was really young, and like the first books that I read that got me into reading were Twilight. And then the second book,
Mm.
I was just like branching out, and like a really popular person in my class read The Hunger Games. I saw him with like the book. It's like a vivid memory I have. So I was like, you know what? I've read Twilight. I really want to get into something else. So I picked up The Hunger Games, and like I read the book, I think in just like a few days, which was weird because I hadn't gotten into reading at the time. And then I just read the book so fast. Um, and then the weird thing is that so I have a little sister, she's 5 years younger than me. So I always like compared her to like my
My
Prim
sister's
because
4 years younger than
yeah,
me.
because
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So like that Prim Katniss dynamic,
yeah,
like.
and
Mhm.
I think that's a big reason why I connected with the books because like yeah, my sister was really young at the time the books came out, and I was this monstrous sister. Don't even get me started. So
Oh
next time
no.
I'll have to bring out my binder, but I had this binder that I put together where I had every character, even if it was just like some random character mentioned once or twice. Like I had this whole binder, has all the clippings from like all the newspapers, everything like, and I would sit my sister down and I would be like, we're learning about the Hunger Games today. And I think she was like in first or second grade. So it was psychotic. Like she's like, what are
I
you doing?
love
My
that
parents
though.
like they would get so mad at me because I was like, you need to be a part of this because I have no one to talk to. And I didn't know like fandom was a thing at the time. So yeah, like I think a big reason why I liked it was because I really identified with Katniss because I am like I know I'm kind of like a selfish person. So kind of like identified with that. And then my sister just like more so identifies Prim in my eyes. So I had that. And then like I just remember originally reading the books and my dad was a civil engineer, which has to do with mining. So I was like, oh my God,
You're like, it all
they're
connects.
bad.
It all
It
works.
literally
It's
connects.
my life. I'm
And like
Katniss.
I literally, so I think that's why I like the book so much, but that was like how I really got into it, how I like would force my family to like be a part of this fandom, how much they hated it, and how
Holly,
much
why are we like so similar? Because like
it's
I mean,
crazy.
same thing. Like I got my mom like really into it. She read the books too, and like she helped make my like cosplay costumes and
Aw.
just I just
Yeah.
like that we relate so much on that.
Just like literally having our sisters along for the ride. Like my dad went through and ended up reading the books. He didn't like them, obviously. Like he was just like he would always read what I would read just to like see what I was into and stuff and kind of connect in that way. So I guess like that goes along with
That's
it. But
cool.
yeah,
My
no,
dad
that's
would never
really
read like anything that I'm reading.
see, like, and that's cool. Like I had no idea about that, but you had that past with like your family and stuff. So
I
yeah,
just
that
like that
was
we like are discovering all this stuff about each other.
I
Like, because
know.
like we don't know each other that well, so
Exactly. So we're gonna get to know each other. Everyone's gonna get to know us, and then we'll get to know each other, and it'll be cool. But yeah, and so I guess like my journey in the fandom was like different, also just because of my age at the time.
yeah, I guess it's
I
worth noting. I guess I didn't say that. Like, I was in. Did I say I was in high school when I read the books? Like, so you were in elementary school,
like
or
finishing elementary school, yeah,
yeah,
going to
and
middle.
I was finishing high school.
So we had like different like perspectives because I think definitely reading the books at a younger age, even if it was like in high school, and then reading it at the ages we are now, or even just a few years ago, I think it's just a big thing that I've also reflected on is the growth with the book series
Mm,
too.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I spent most of my fandom interactions online. I was kind of a nuisance online. There was like this one website. It was like the Hunger Games Arena, and it was a fan site. And I don't know if you were ever on it,
I don't think I was
but
ever on it, but I remember that name. Like, that sounds
yeah,
really familiar to me.
I've looked it up in the past few months and I can't find it. It's like wiped
Oh,
off
I'm
the
sure it's
internet.
gone. Yeah, like all the
Yeah,
fan sites are pretty much gone. I think
which
there's
is so
only
tragic.
like one or two still that I know of that are still up.
Yeah. And so like I would spend every day before school, I would wake up, eat my breakfast, and then go downstairs and sit on the computer and just read fandom news. And I would be like, because on this specific site, you would have to like post a lot, interact a lot, have tons of followers, and like there would be a leaderboard of like the fans. I
Oh,
was
that's
on that
fun.
leaderboard for over a year. I held that spot, and like anyone who competed, I was like
Wait, like
so rude.
what was your like username? Did you
I
just put
don't
in your actual
remember.
name or?
It wasn't my actual name. I have like a fan fiction account and it might have been like what my fan fiction account was, but I don't think so. It was something like something having to do with Katniss and like Girl on Fire. It was something like that, but I forget because I was such a nuisance. These
Just
people
want to
probably
know
wanted to kick
everybody's
me
like
off.
old embarrassing like usernames related
Hmm.
to the Hunger Games.
Exactly. Like my fan fiction one now is pretty cringe, but it's fine. But yeah, so I would just like spend every single day when the trailer came out, a vivid memory of mine was I would sit in front of the computer and memorize the trailer, the first Hunger Games trailer, um, and just like force myself to learn it. And so I would like be on the way to the
Yes.
bus and like I'd be like repeating it in my head. Like it was so weird.
Worth
But
it. Or that like
exactly.
helped you in so many situations.
Exactly. Like truly even now, my age, college, I can recite. Like I'd like to know if I could still recite it. We'll have to like try that one day, but that was really how I spent my time was online interactions. It got me into fan fiction, um, meeting people through like those websites. Role playing too was like a big thing, but I never really got to do in-person things besides like my local library would do like a Hunger Games like event, and that was about it. But yeah.
That's awesome though. Like I never went to like a library Hunger Games event.
It was interesting. You'd like kill each other. It's very weird.
I would be interested to see like what, because it's like online you can kind of connect with like the big obsessed fans. So it'd be
Mhm.
interesting to go to something local. I feel like people would show up who like, I don't know, like are not as obsessed or like into it as me. And I'd be like,
Mhm.
hey.
And that's the thing is like I don't know about you, but my parents were like, "What is this girl obsessing about?" Because I had never obsessed over anything before. And to be like obsessed with a book series about what it's about and about like literally murdering children, my parents were
Right? I
probably very
know, it's
concerned.
such a weird topic of conversation. Like, I love the Hunger Games. It's where kids kill each other,
Yeah,
fight to the death. It's great.
yeah. So that was
But
something
it's
I
so
think,
much more.
yeah. But I'd love to hear like how your experience varied from mine because it's very different.
I didn't really get into anything online or connecting with other fans just because I didn't have like a computer like at my house.
Mhm.
And then about a year after I read The Hunger Games, I was a senior in high school and I had a free period. So I would go to the library, and that's when I discovered Goodreads. And I made a Goodreads account and I joined a Hunger Games role play group on there. So that was the first time I don't know, like did anything with like my obsession with the Hunger Games, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's like other people who are like super into it, and we can just role play different like Hunger Games arenas and like come up with our own characters in the world of Panem. And I don't know, that was super fun.
Mhm.
And then I graduated from high school. I got a laptop as a gift because I was going to college. And so in May of 2011, I started Tumblr.
Ooh.
And the Hunger Games fandom on Tumblr was like thriving in 2011, 2012. Like just Tumblr as a platform as a whole, like that's when it was like in its prime. I started meeting a bunch of other Hunger Games fans. That summer, the Hunger Games fandom did like another sort of like role play Hunger Games on Tumblr, and the fandom was like on Tumblr was like invested in like this. It was like the first
As they
Hunger
are.
Games role play. Like no one had really like tried something like that was as big as the one that they had set up. And I got reaped. So I was like one of the tributes. Like so many people like applied to be part of it, and there was only 24 of us who got picked, and everyone was just like following it, and then like that helped me kind of get like a following, so like I met even more people. And it was just like super fun. Like we were like posting videos of ourselves like at the bloodbath and like like up in the trees or like whatever, and like it was so much fun. And then because I had experience on Tumblr, like one of the websites down with the Capitol was looking for someone to manage their Tumblr account. And I was like, well, like I want to do something in the fandom that's not me just like consuming, I guess, but like
Mhm.
contributing towards something and like working on something. Like I'm so obsessed with this. Like I want to be a little bit more like practical, like have something a little bit more structured to like work on that has to do with the Hunger Games. So I applied, and then they asked me if I wanted to be like a news writer on their website as well. And yeah, I got to do a lot of cool things
Yeah.
because of that. Like go to different events, like just I feel like always being up to date on like all like the latest news, like just knowing like everything that was going on in the fandom, going to premieres on my own, but also
Mhm.
like being invited. I went to like even in 2016, so like less than 5 years ago, the like 4 film like special collection like came out, and I went to an event in LA for that,
Oh my
for the
gosh.
DVD set. So I did a lot of like cool. There's different stages to my like experience in the Hunger Games fandom. Kind of just me and my sister, and then like role playing and just like being part of the community, and then kind of moving on to like helping with like events and like reporting news and that kind of stuff. So
So cool.
it's
So
a lot of
cool.
fun. I
And then
miss
I
it.
am
I
sitting
miss the heyday.
yeah, I was like sitting in my downstairs computer like just envying you. I didn't even know you existed, but that was when I met you and like heard that you got to do all that stuff. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's so cool. But they're like experiences that like I'm hopefully looking forward to like as a first time
No,
like
yeah. I mean,
person
because
too.
Ballad has come out, like it's so awesome. Like we know there's going to be another movie. Like it's going to be led by like the same team. Like Nina Jacobson is producing, Francis Lawrence is directing. So like there's gonna be a movie. Like we're gonna go to the premiere. Like
yes, we're going. I'm
Susan Collins, I'm sure, is gonna be there. Like
yes.
meeting her, like that's like the ultimate.
maybe
For me
the
it
movie will
was.
make, yeah, like that's so cool that you met her, but girl, that's on my bucket list. We're gonna make that happen.
It's already happened for me, so I don't care.
I
We are gonna make it
know.
happen for you.
So like, what was your conversation like? Like, did you get to talk to her for long? Or?
I mean, you get like 30 seconds, like, because
Mhm.
she was just coming down the line. Thankfully, like, I was one of the first people at that premiere to like interact with her. So I feel like she gave me a little bit extra time. But I mean, like, what do you say? Like, all I could
Yeah.
tell her was like, oh my gosh, I love you. Like, thank you so
Uh-huh.
much for writing the books. Like, it changed my life. Like,
Mhm.
and then we took
That's
a
so
picture
cool.
and she signed my book. So yeah,
Forever jealous. That's so cool.
amazing
Like,
memories.
exactly. Like that's something that like being in a fandom gives you, is like that ability to like meet your role models, whether it's like an author
Mhm.
or a director or
An
even like
actor
an
or
actor. Yeah.
yeah.
Like it's, you get to meet who like you were envisioning, whether or not like they were your first pick for Katniss or Peeta or whatever, like they were who ended up being the role that you looked up to. So that's
Yeah.
always like, huge. But that's really cool. So I guess going into that, what was your favorite movie out of all of them? Favorite and least favorite? Like which one do you hate?
Well, Catching Fire is the best film, hands
Of course,
down.
I agree. Yeah, we can agree on that one.
No contest. The transition from like what Gary Ross did to then it having like a bigger budget and like it just took everything to the next level, like expanded the world, like so many new characters that we love were introduced. It just looked so good. Like visually, the fandom was like in full force because it was like building up to like when the Hunger Games released. And then by the time Catching Fire came out, like just everything about Catching Fire. Also, Peeta looks the best in Catching Fire.
True. Yeah, I will agree with
So,
you
you
on that
know,
one.
a lot of points there. My
I
least favorite is Mockingjay Part 1.
Yeah, I feel like everyone can agree, like it was like a really hard one to get through, but that's just because for me at least, Peter's not in it. So I have such a hard time with it.
Yeah, there are multiple reasons why I feel like it's just I don't agree. Some people say that they shouldn't have split Part 1 and Part 2,
Hmm.
but I think Part 2 would have been so much worse
Yeah,
if they
definitely.
like there was too much. So it needed to be split, but it's not that I don't love it, but it's my
Yeah.
least favorite.
Yeah. See, here's my thing is I like part two, but I'm someone who with anything that I care about, like any fandom, I cannot watch the last one. I can't.
Mm,
And that's why I have a hard time watching that one, is because it just goes downhill. Like it goes way too downhill, way too fast. And same with Breaking Dawn. Like if we're talking about Twilight again, I just can't watch part two because then I get really depressed because I'm so obsessive when it comes to fandom that like if something ends, then I have to start and watch the first movie again because then I'm going to be depressed the rest of the day. So like watching Mockingjay part 2, I like it, but too many people who I love die, and then there's no good point to
mm,
stop the movie at. Like with Breaking Dawn or something like that, you can stop it at a good point and say like, "That's it. It's on. It's still alive." Like in my head, I know what's going on. But with Mockingjay Part 2, it's like you reach the epilogue, and I'm like sobbing my eyes out. It doesn't matter how like what point of my life I'm in. I could be like the happiest person in the world. You watch Mockingjay Part 2 and I'll be like sobbing. So I think that one's probably like my least favorite just for that reason and just for like how hard it is to like physically get through. But my favorite would also be Catching Fire because Catching
yes.
Fire the movie. Mm. But I mean like Hunger Games was good. It was good. That's all I'll say. But Catching
Hunger
Fire
Games was
just
good. I wish it was to the level that like Catching Fire is at.
because I think like Francis Lawrence really understood that it was a fandom, and that's like a big thing when it comes down to watching a movie that is being made from a book. It's like knowing how big the fandom was and knowing like these little details are gonna need to make it to the movie so that like we as book
like
lovers
switching
will accept
Buttercup
it.
to being yellow.
Yeah, I know.
Like it's just such an easy change. Just do it.
exactly. But I don't know. I just love Catching Fire. Everyone loves Catching Fire though. So, but yeah. But I guess like off of that, what was your favorite book from the whole series? You can include Ballad too.
It's really hard to decide between Catching Fire and The Hunger Games, just because, I mean, I know it's not Mockingjay.
Everyone knows it's not Mockingjay.
But I think Catching Fire, like similarly to Catching Fire, like as a movie, it's just like the anticipation of like, well, I didn't really have to wait, but just getting to read, like I know I loved this first book, and getting to read a whole second book and more of the characters like that we ended up just loving are introduced, like love Finnick, love Joanna. But The Hunger Games, like reading that the first time was like such a good experience, and like I wish I could reread The Hunger Games again for the first time. So it's hard. I don't think I can choose between The Hunger Games and Catching Fire.
Yeah. See, I'm on the same page as you. I think for me, I always tend to favor Hunger Games a little more just because I don't know. There's just like a feeling. I feel like you said like just you'd want to read it again. Like that for me, it's like nostalgia of reading it. And then with Catching Fire, it's like the scenes, like the rooftop scene, like what you don't see in the movie is what really just like brings it together. And like because you'll know that like Peeta is my all-time favorite character from like anything I've ever read or anything a part of my fandom life, like across the board. So like more Peeta scenes, more things that I like. But for Hunger Games, it was just like it was witnessing something that I've never experienced before. So that's why I love The Hunger Games.
I feel like Catching Fire as a movie also has more of the accurate Peeta representation like in it, and more of like the lines that we love. Like I just feel like Peeta is more Peeta in Catching Fire the movie. So it might be like that disparity between the first film and Hunger Games the book that makes me like the Hunger Games book so much.
Yeah. I don't know. And I've always been like really fascinated with the period between the first and the second book. That's something that I've always like wanted to explore through fan fiction, and whether I'm writing it or reading it, I don't know. And so that's why it's hard to pick between the two. But once again, with endings, when Catching Fire ends and we go off to Mockingjay, it's just so hard for me to know what happens. So I think that's another reason why I have a hard time with Catching
It's so funny
Fire.
because like I don't relate to what you're saying. It's fascinating, but I don't relate to what you're saying at all about like getting so emotional at endings. Like I don't know, like when I watch Mockingjay Part 2, I'm just like so happy that like we've gotten to the, I mean there's like horrible, like terrible sad stuff that happens in Mockingjay Part 2, and we lose like a lot of characters that we love so much, but I just love that it comes to that, like the full arc, you know, is over, and you know, Coin is taken down and Snow is taken down, and like I'm just so happy when I see like that final epilogue. And I'm like, Katniss and Peeta are finally like just getting the life that they deserve.
Yeah.
And just getting to heal and like rest, and like I'm so happy at the end. So I love Mockingjay Part 2.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's why it's definitely just a me thing. I'd love to hear if like other people feel
No,
the
but
same
I've
way.
heard other people
But
like in like the Twilight fandom, like when we've been talking about like Breaking Dawn Part 2, like say that they can't handle watching it, and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting because I've
like
never like felt that.
yeah, don't get me wrong, I love the endings of both of them, but it's just a matter of knowing in my heart that I'm watching the end of it and there's nothing to keep watching, I think is what makes me really sad. And just knowing that we end Katniss's journey right there, and we're never gonna hear, well, likely never gonna hear another piece of written work or anything else. Like it's the odds are 99% not
That's
gonna
all
happen.
you get.
Yeah, so I think it's just having to say goodbye to a character that I love hearing her journey, and I've loved like reading from her perspective and seeing it in a movie. So and it's weird because lots of people feel that way going to premiere, like movie night, it comes out and you're in the theater, everyone's crying, but I always feel that. What are your top 3 characters in the movies, and then your top 3 characters in the books? My top 3 characters in the movies and books, Katniss and Peeta will always be in there because Katniss and Peeta are, like I said, Peeta's my favorite fictional character I've ever read, watched. Katniss changed my life, so she's automatically in there. For the movies, though, I would put Haymitch in there because I loved I wanna hear your opinion on this, but because when I first read the books, Haymitch always came off like a father figure to me, to Katniss, and when I told, like, my dad read the books, I told him that statement, and he was like, "I don't see him in that way." Like, I think he's there to support her, but I don't see her as, like, a father figure like I was speculating, I guess. But in the movies, I would say they really tried to make it seem that way, like, she really leaned on him, and she does lean on
Yeah.
him in the books, but especially in Mockingjay, he's way pulled back. So, I think in the movies, I just really loved getting to know, like, how his character was played, like, who he was, and just, like, he came across, like, more charismatic than he did in the books, in my opinion. So I just loved Haymitch in the movies. He's somebody that just lights up the movies. I think that's kinda, like, what they intended him to do differently than in the books. And then I guess in the books and as well as in the movie, like, Boggs was one of my favorite characters. I don't know, I just really love,
Oh,
like,
Boggs.
I and everyone loves Finnick. Don't get me wrong, I like Finnick. I don't hate Finnick by any means, but I was never the person like fangirling over Finnick, which I thought was kind of weird. But for me, Boggs' death hurts me a lot more than Finnick's death does, which everyone's
It's
gonna hate
it's
me for that.
painful. No, but I totally understand.
But it's just Boggs was someone for Katniss who was on her side the entire time. And I think that's what she had a hard time dealing with was trust in Mockingjay and to be so close to what they were trying to like to kill Snow or yeah, kill Snow, get to that point and end the war and everything. Boggs was just a character who was wanting her to have like a normal life, which was something she didn't even envision for herself. So for me, Boggs is just a character that just has like a place in my heart forever. I love Boggs, and I didn't really learn to love him until I reread the books and watched the movies recently, but I would definitely pin him as one of my top 3.
No, like that's a super interesting point because I feel like there aren't a lot of characters that show like this like selfless care towards Katniss. And like Boggs is one of the very few that I can think of that really does. And like she doesn't even understand like why.
Why? Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what hurts, especially like in the books, yeah, but in the movies, just like him forcing her to be like, "No, I'm gonna die. Like I will put myself on the line for your life because you've earned it." Like that always just gets me
Uh,
because she doesn't even realize it, because to
mm,
be through the life that she's been and to do the things that she had to do at such a young age, like you could being in her position, there's no way you could think that you deserve peace after that. So for someone to literally reinforce that to her, he was the perfect character. I love
you're right.
him.
You're right. Top
I
tier
love
for
him. I
sure.
love him.
I can't disagree.
Awesome. So you go. I'd love to hear yours.
Okay, so I think for the movies, we're just gonna be really similar because Katniss and Peeta are like, how can you not put Katniss and Peeta in your
If there's
top
any like
characters?
yeah, if people like Gale get out, like don't listen. This is Gale Hate Club, sorry.
Don't write us paragraphs. No, maybe we will, and we'll read them, and it'll be funny.
Yeah.
We'll disprove all the reasons why you love Gale. Yeah, just Katniss and Peeta. I mean, obviously, the story is through Katniss's perspective, and I think one of the reasons why Hunger Games is so good is because Katniss is so relatable as a character. Like you were talking about her selfishness and like except when it comes to like her family,
Yeah.
which I mean is kind of still selfish in a way because like your family, those are the people who like care about you the most. So I definitely relate with that. Peeta, because he's just He's just perfect.
He's too good. He's too good for everyone.
We don't deserve PETA. Oh gosh, PETA. And he's so funny. Like he's just so charming and like there is a lot of that in the movies too. But I think similarly to what you were saying about Haymitch, like my third for the movies would be Effie. I mean, in the books, she, like in Mockingjay, she's not even there. You know, she doesn't really have this like kind of caring attitude at all. But in the movies, I feel like they did so much with her. Her emotion, like when she's doing the reaping and catching fire and like has to, you know, participate with sending them back into the arena. Like it's heartbreaking. And I feel like Elizabeth Banks just brought like so much to that character. And she's there for Katniss too, like in her own way. Like she doesn't have a lot of like self-awareness at times, but I think by the end, like she grows so much. And also like I cosplayed as her, so I love her outfits. Cool. Like there's something about like seeing like Effie like visually as well. I feel like that just like makes me love her even more. In the books, I'd probably say, I mean, Katniss and PETA, and then probably Finnick.
Yeah, everyone loves Finnick.
I love Finnick, and like even more like I love Sam Claflin. Like I feel like he did a really good job, but there's something about he's just not really the Finnick that I picture when I'm reading the books. And just like his backstory and like what he's had to do to like survive, and just revealing things about like Snow that we like didn't know before, and just how much he loves Annie, when he could really be like with anybody, you know. It's the girl from his district, and Finnick's just amazing, and I'm so sad he didn't make it.
I know, that's why I stopped. That's the part that I stopped when I watch the movies, is before he dies. I'm like, okay, we're good.
Were you saying fine. Before, like when we were talking, that like you threw the book at that point? Or wait, was that something different?
When did I throw the book? I think it was when Finnick died. It was either when Finnick or Prim died. I had never thrown the book because, first of all, I kind of hate when people are like, I threw the book. I'm like, did you really? But that was the one instance where I've thrown a book because to me, we'll talk about it. We've already brainstormed an episode about Prim. To me, Finnick didn't need to die. Finnick didn't have to die.
But it shows that like no one is safe. Like even the people that you like desperately love, like anyone, you know, war. It's all about war and like how awful war is, and why it shouldn't happen. So
but then both Gale and PETA came out perfect. So it's kind of like, which I knew she had to make the decision. But Gale had his
own like story. Like
we hate Gale. we hate Gale.
Gale has his own issues. Okay, he didn't need to die. Like he's alive, and we hate him.
he lives with it. He lives with the hate. Okay.
He has to like live with the consequences of like the decisions that he made and what he participated in. So that's worse than death.
Exactly. But it's fine. I don't know. I will always argue that Finnick didn't need to die, because I could give you another, like a whole list of people. She could have pulled like a Divergent thing and been like, bye Katniss, like you can die too.
Yeah, she could have, but she didn't, which was a good choice.
I know. But yeah, I don't know. That was a hard part for me to read, but everyone had a hard time reading it. Like I don't even like, Finnick isn't my favorite character, and I still threw the book. So yeah.
I accepted it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible, but
it's been years, so. But
no, I'm just still not over like PETA's hijacking. That's what I'm not over. That's when I threw the book.
Oh,
actually threw the book. Like I've never thrown a book.
It wasn't the Finnick part, because we agreed when we talked. Like we kind of like briefly talked. Yeah, it was his hijacking, because I love PETA. I was like, I was sad when Finnick died. I threw the book at PETA when he was hijacked. Like, oh my gosh, that was worse.
They're just like in the room, and PETA's there. Like Katniss comes up to him. Like she expects to like embrace and like finally like be with PETA again, and he just like puts his hands to her throat, and then I threw the book.
And that's not the hard part with that part, is that Katniss is in my eyes, finally accepted that she loved PETA. Like, everyone told her it, and she finally felt it.
Right? She was like ready. She was there.
Yeah, and to feel love for
No.
someone other than her family. I was like,
Mhm.
please.
Right?
Oh, well, we have to have like a whole episode just about like PETA's hijacking, because I could go off for a very long time.
Like, talk
But
about things that didn't have to happen.
but it was such a powerful thing that happened. Like, I
I
hate
know.
it,
There's so
but
many powerful, horrible things that happen in the Hunger Games.
Miss Suzanne over there, she knew what she was doing. She knew
She
it.
does.
She hated
She's
me.
my
She hated
queen.
you. She hated me. She hated the whole fandom. That's why she did it. But it's fine. But I guess our final question before, okay, we've been rambling for a long time, but we're gonna have something very fun happening at the end of this episode. But final question about getting to know us. What is like the one thing about the Hunger Games that just has stayed with you? Like, why do you love it? Besides the obvious, like, we love it. Give us a reason.
Well, it's funny because I feel like we actually talked about it, which I didn't even know we were like going to get into that at all, like at the beginning. But it's the relationship between Katniss and Prim for me that's just like why I love the Hunger Games so much. And like,
Mm-hmm.
so obviously it's terrible what happens, like what happens at the end. But like
Yeah.
I understood it and I was like, okay, I get why this needed to happen. But the whole reason that I like loved the Hunger Games was like the love that Katniss had for her sister, like Prim, and
Yeah.
like stepping up and like volunteering for her. And you know, I have a little sister who I love, and it just like made me think like a lot about like, okay, well, like how far would I go for the people I love?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that just that theme of like sisterly love throughout the whole series is really what I connect to and like what I love the most about the series.
Yeah. No, as I totally agree with you 100%. And I think that was a big thing too, was I also questioned like, would I be the one to volunteer? Because in the books, she outright states like it's
People
rare when
don't.
somebody
Yeah.
volunteers. Yeah.
Love only
So
goes so far.
you have to like, I like as a fan, you put yourself into that position of like, my sibling has been called up. What would I do? And like going through that, which I think is very morbid, obviously, but it just shows that everything she did was for that one person, was for her sister. And in the end, like it didn't end up happening, and yet she did do so much. Like, what would have happened if she hadn't volunteered? We all know Prim probably
Mm-hmm.
would have died, but nothing would have changed. And so it's just like how powerful that connection. So I got chills when you were talking, and I totally agree with you on that one. But mine is a little different. We talked about it, but this is a surprise for you, because when we were talking about like running through questions for today, I was like, ooh, there was a TikTok that I saw, and it really reiterates why I love this series more than anything. And so you don't know what the TikTok is, so let me go through for everyone. So like a few months ago, I was on TikTok and I saw this it was just a huge thing of text. This girl ranting about Mockingjay. And she was like, the gist of it said, I really hate the ending of Mockingjay. Katniss picked PETA just to settle. Like, he forced her to have kids. This whole thing about how in the end she ended up unhappy. And I got out of my bed. It was midnight. And I got out of my bed, went to my sister's room, and I was like, read this BS right here, because I have such a hard time with this. I love this series because of how it ends. And I know we talked about how I can't get through endings, but the ending to me was so powerful to the whole series. Like, it did it justice. I will rant forever about why Katniss is happy. In the end, she is happy. She finds happiness. PETA does not force her to have kids. Like,
Yes,
she just,
yes.
like, I get chills when I talk about it.
I'm
Like,
so glad that's kind of what I said earlier, that I like love the ending, that we're on agreement about this.
because it comes down to like this story, you step back from the fandom aspect, it's taught in schools because of how awful it is. Like the themes, the
Mm-hmm.
dystopia, like I feel like it is a little glamorized because it is a YA for young kids to read. But if this was like an adult series, it would be like in your face how gruesome it is. And I think I'm rereading Mockingjay right now for like since I haven't in like 5 years, to be honest with you. Um, and reading it from a perspective where I'm an adult is completely different than how I read it as a kid. And reading the epilogue and understanding the reasons why Katniss ends up with Peeta, and like not even like she didn't even have to end up with either of them. She ended up with Peeta because like that was where her happiness and comfort lies. It's just such a strong ending to a series that is so dark, and it shows that like even though you can't see what's in the future, like she never even wanted to have kids. It comes full circle and she does have kids, and she does like get to have a life that she didn't even dream of. Like she physically didn't even think of. It was
Right, yeah,
Gale
she
who was
didn't
like,
even let herself like think
yeah,
like, oh, could that be? You know, when Gail like wants to run away with her, she's like, I just can't even like think like that. Like,
yeah. And so
not
for
the world
me,
we
like,
live in.
yeah, it's just so hard for me to like if the ending was anything but that, I would have a really hard time. But that TikTok reiterated like healed my body because I just know that it's such a hard series to get through and to love it so much and to love Katniss regardless of how she can be so selfish and selfless at the same time. Like it just reiterates to me so much meaning, and I think that that epilogue will forever be a part of me. So it doesn't really talk to like your physical connection to the book with your sister, but for me it's just reading something that I'd never had such a strong connection to until I read that ending. So I
That's amazing.
love
So many times
them.
you get to the end of something and it's like not satisfying or like it's disappointing. And I feel like the Hunger Games is not that way.
Yeah,
So
and I feel like especially today a lot of authors, like I'll start out with Veronica Roth, and ever since Hunger Games, just tried to take it higher and higher and higher and higher. Like I'm gonna do something that's never been done before. Like probably it has been done before where you kill off your protagonist, but I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. But the Hunger Games ended where it had to end. Like if it didn't end there, I don't know how fans would have reacted. And so for me, it wasn't a cop out. It wasn't just faking happiness. It was like where the characters had to be at. So yeah.
yeah.
I love
Oh gosh.
it. But
Why is the
yeah,
Hunger Games so good?
I know. Everyone people watching this should agree. But yes,
Well, if they've watched all the way or listened all the way to this point, they probably do.
exactly. So you're awesome. And you stayed for the best part. So I don't mean to get you
Yeah.
excited, but
So now we're gonna like change it up. Less with the heavy, more with the fun, the shenanigans. We have our little reaping bowl of
Ooh.
character names. We'll probably use this for like all sorts of different segments where we need like different characters randomly, but we were gonna do a little couple rounds of FMK.
Our icebreaker.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So I guess I will go ahead and just it's like some
Okay.
ASMR maybe. I don't know.
It definitely sounds
Pull
like it.
3 characters. So we've got Venia.
Okay.
Like, do we all know who Venia is? I do.
Throwback, yes.
Thresh.
Okay.
It's gonna be so random.
I love this.
And Annie.
Okay.
Good old
You
Annie
first. You go
Cresta.
first.
I'm gonna have to kill Venia.
Yeah, that was what I
I
thought
mean,
too.
that's
The obvious.
sorry. I mean, she should have died in the books, right? But
yeah.
but she makes
It's
it,
fine.
so she's dying now. Marrying Annie, because like Annie is just she's so sweet, I think.
She's wholesome.
And then I'm gonna get it on with Thresh. So
See, I had the same, but I flipped Annie and Thresh because
okay.
Thresh is just like such a caring person for letting Katniss live. Like, thank you forever. And he's a big boy, you know, so just a
I don't
strong
know. Like
man.
one act of kindness, I feel like we don't really know that much about Thresh.
Yeah, I like to think of him as a nicer character. Like, they kind of, at first, she was like, he's a cold-blooded killer because of how big he was. But that one act of kindness, I feel like he would have kind of the same mindset as Katniss because they were thinking like, thank you for this, I owe you one, that's all. So I like Thresh. I think I'd want to marry him. In the movies, he's really cute too. So,
Yeah,
and
Dao is, yeah, he's
yeah,
attractive.
he is. But yeah, and then Annie, we'll just have some fun, and I'll see you later.
I feel
That's
like
all.
if like Finnick wants to marry Annie, then like I should want to marry Annie too. Like she's
There
probably
you
marriage
go.
material. So I don't know,
Yeah.
that's kind of how I justify it.
Yeah, I that's something that like if there were a spin-off series that wasn't based around Snow, I would love to see like Finnick and Annie's relationship, honestly,
I
because
know.
it's so
Like something
complex.
like earlier too, like how it like their love story.
Mainstay Pro. Go back to like those videos.
That is a good
Oh,
one.
okay, next round.
Okay.
This is
We've
so fun.
got I know there's such random like pairings. Oh no, Rue.
Oh, underage. These are all
Mags.
underage.
Oh no, this is gonna be hard.
Oh.
And Finnick. Oh my gosh, this
Oh
is like
my
really
god.
hard. Okay,
You think
Rue,
it's
Mags,
hard?
and Finnick.
Oh my god, I don't even think I can. So age is not a variable in this right now. Because it's kind of it should
You
be
can
though.
cuddle.
Cuddle. That's what it's gonna be. Same with Thresh, I guess, because we're a little too old, but I have mine set in. If I'll just go. Are you ready? Like have you thought yours through?
No, I'm gonna listen to yours.
Okay. So I would definitely marry Finnick. Like if you're not marrying Finnick, I don't know what you're doing, to be honest, because Finnick.
Okay, we're gonna say the
And
same thing.
I'm gonna cuddle up with Rue because I want to feel like Katniss, cuddle up with her. She's just beautiful. I love her. Sorry, Megs. Like,
She's old anyway, like it's her
oh my
time.
gosh, time to go, girl. You died in the
I mean, like
books. You're
that's
gonna
what
seal
happened
your
in the
fate.
arena. So, you know,
Yeah,
she sacrificed herself, so she can sacrifice herself now.
again. So bad.
Hate to do it to you twice, but
Oh
yeah.
my
I
goodness.
agree. If you're not marrying Finnick, like who are you?
Yeah, yeah. There's no alternatives.
Okay, let's get 3 more names. Okay, we've got BT.
Oh.
BT Letier. What do you think about Letier? His last name in the movies? Kind of used
Why?
to it now. I don't know, it
What?
just kind of was weird that they like gave him a last name.
And they don't really. Well, I guess they give like Johanna and Finnick. I guess he was like big enough that, like big enough of a character.
Brutus.
You.
So we've got Beatty, Brutus, and Chaff.
Oh
Interesting. Those
wow,
are all
a lovely group.
Catching Fire quarter quell tributes.
Hmm.
I'm definitely killing Brutus.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same because we don't like him.
I'd probably marry Beatty, you know, because he'd be really handy around the house.
Yeah,
Or like fixing the Wi-Fi or whatever.
that's true. That's very true. Hacking in so you get free Netflix.
And then gonna do a little something something with Chaff.
I feel like I would say the same thing because I don't really know Chaff well enough. I just know that he drinks, so not marriage
He
material.
even in the movies?
He was briefly like she grabs onto his like stub arm a little bit, but he
Oh yeah,
and then he
yeah,
kisses
yeah,
her.
because Chaff and Cedar,
Yeah.
right, are District 11.
So yeah, I would say the exact same thing. The pool wasn't too beautiful this round, but it's fine.
Okay, Wyrus.
I'm so like when you say a name, reactive to it.
Nuts,
Yeah.
also known as Flavius,
Okay.
and the female Morphling.
Oh my gosh.
These are like
That's
smaller.
so
Well,
awful.
Wyrus is kind of a larger character, but
I feel like I'd have to cuddle up with Ryrit or I'll marry Wyrus because like only redeeming character. So I'll marry Wyrus. I will cuddle with Flavius and Morphling. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not interested in you. You're dead. And like even if we weren't taking that into account, I don't really have much to know about your character. So
I feel like I would flip it.
yeah,
Flavius and the female morphling. Just because like she saves PETA. Like I can't
true.
kill her.
I
I
need to
know she
repay you.
dies, but
Yeah,
it's too sad.
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, one more round. I just love that I have like this bowl full of like every character.
People come over
Okay.
your house like,
What is that? It's my reading bowl. Like, okay, Cecilia is our first character.
okay,
Wolf.
okay.
What? These are all
Fine
like
for the
catching
picking.
fire.
Yeah.
Cortical tributes and Marvel.
Okay.
Well, we're killing Marvel, right?
I was gonna
No?
marry Marvel because
You're
he's
gonna
cute in the
marry Marvel?
movie.
What?
He's cute in the movie.
Oh, Jack Quaid is so cute. I saw
Yeah.
him in person once
Oh,
at like
he's
the
really
Hunger
cute.
Games mall tour before the movies came out,
Yeah.
and I was like awestruck. He was really
He's
cute.
really cute. I like him. So
No,
yeah, I would marry him. Sorry.
like,
Sorry.
Spears Rue.
No, you're rubbing
How
it in.
could you?
I can forgive him. He'll grow as a man.
Okay, well, I'm still killing Marvel. Okay, wait, and what are your other two?
Honestly, there's no like care for either of them.
They're both from the same district, right?
Yeah, so I'll just whoever volunteers for me to like kiss, what is it, and kill, I'll do it because there's really I'm not gonna pick between two characters that are kind of irrelevant in my eyes. So
All right, I'm probably just gonna be like sexist and kill Wolf and
there you go.
keep
Bye.
Cecilia alive.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know. There is no crazy features. I mean, just Marvel is just cute, so that's all that matters.
I love this.
I know. We
All the
should just do
random
this all the
characters.
time. I know. I was
Next
like, where's like
episode, just FMK the whole time.
exactly. But I guess it leads us into our final thing because we've been talking for a while for our first episode, and I'm so happy. But our next episode is gonna be all about putting different characters into the Myers-Briggs personality test. So if you're interested, guys, you should listen in next time. And yeah, we'll be picking like a few characters that we want to kind of, I guess, debate about where they would fit into those personality traits. But yeah,
Probably fight about it a little bit.
I know, just a little
I
bit,
hope,
but it's
I
all
hope we don't
friendly.
agree on everything.
Exactly. I feel like we won't because we have very different views about the series too. So it's fun. But yeah. So thank you. I don't know, Emily, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, no, just like thanks for listening. Anybody who listened all the way to the end.
I know.
This was so
And
much fun, and like I can't wait to keep talking about the Hunger Games more.
let us know if there's something that you want us to talk about. Because we have a long list to get through, and this is only episode 1, so I'm so excited. But thank you guys, and I guess we'll see you next week.
Yep, see you in the next one. Bye.